August 21st, 2023. My name is Alan Collins. We are Student Loan Justice. We are the first, the oldest, the largest, and the only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. I've said that a few times. I hope everybody's doing well out there in the world. A couple of quick announcements. If you have confirmed and verified that your loans were canceled as a result of the 800,000 people and the $116 billion that the Biden administration keeps bragging about canceling. First of all, congratulations. If that did happen to you, we're thrilled. And I hope you agree that the pressure that this group has put on the administration over years and decades had something to do with us. So please don't forget about us. But if you're willing to be interviewed, we're working with change.org and USA Today, and they're looking to interview people for whom that has happened. Now, if you're one of the other 98% of people for whom that has not happened, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found us. So there's that. Second announcement. I have to make a pitch for donations, guys. I really do. We still need 2 people to donate $20 or more in order to cover our expenses for last week. So we're behind the 8 ball here, guys. So if you appreciate this group, all that we've done, all that we're doing, all that we are poised to get done, just please donate something, would you? So I can shut up about it, because I suck at fundraising. We don't need a lot to survive and thrive, but we cannot do it on nothing. So I hope you can appreciate that fact. Oh, one other quick announcement. If you or someone you know lives in the Rochester area, Rochester, New York, and you received notice that your loans were going to be canceled, but then you found out later that no, indeed, your loans are not canceled, and this is happening to some of our people, and you're willing to be interviewed, let me know. Again, you can email me at the contact information below, down there. There it is right there. But this is for people who live either in or around Rochester, New York. So I don't know, maybe Buffalo would count. But anyways, so that's it on the announcements. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out if you're watching us live on Twitter, Facebook, or, well, that's it, YouTube, but I don't monitor our YouTube channel. Throw them out, and I'm happy to respond to them in stream. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk a little bit about getting ready for October 1st. Now, what that means for the vast majority of student loan borrowers is getting ready to not pay. So, and here's the big picture that you need to realize. Before the pandemic, nearly 60%, so nearly 3 in 5 of all borrowers were not paying on their student loans. That's before the pandemic. So, and currently almost nobody's paying. When they turn these loans back on, I assume they will October 1st. Very few people will pay. Like 4 in 5 borrowers probably will not pay. So if you're like most people, you are not going to resume making payments on your student loans come October 1st. And so tonight I want to talk about things that you might want to think about. And so, you know, I'm a defaulted student loan borrower. I haven't, I've been in default for over 20 years now. Sadly, it's certainly no picnic, but it's actually not that bad. There's some things that you can do, to make your life a little better, and to be able to get through things and still have some kind of a life. And the first thing I would say is just sort of an emotional thing. Number one, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. The lending system has failed us. Like, we didn't wreck this federal student loan program. It's a catastrophic failure at this point, and that's true. There's nothing that anybody can do or say to make that not true. We didn't break the lending system, guys. The lending system tried to break us. So don't feel at all bad if you are going to be not resume making payments on your student loans. Most people were already there before the pandemic, and it's going to be far more than most of all people come October 1st. And we do not have to put up with this bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. The founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. And these federal student loans have been weaponized unconstitutionally against us by stripping the very same bankruptcy laws that the founding fathers called for ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army, and the right to bear arms and the right to free speech and assembly and all those things mentioned in the Bill of Rights. So don't feel bad. Lending systems fail from time to time, and it is what it is. But there are a couple things you may want to think about. I know a lot of people have jobs where they work for an employer. One thing you might think about to sort of bulletproof yourself against like wage garnishment or tax garnishment. Well, number one, instead of being a full-time employee and having a full-time employer who might be asked to garnish your wages by the student loan collection hounds. Well, number one, you can become a 1099 contractor, right? You can become your own boss, and depending on where you work, who you work for, you may talk to your supervisor, your boss, the owner of the company, whoever, if they're open to you being a 1099 contractor instead of a wage employee or salaried employee or whatever. So that way, you are essentially your own boss. And if someone tries to pursue a wage garnishment against you, they can't, because there's no wage to garnish. You are paid as an independent contractor. And that's something that definitely is worth looking into. And another thing I will just tell you, like, this is true for some of our members. If you know your boss well, like maybe you work for a small business or something like that, and you know your boss well, if the collection hounds come around asking for wage garnishment, you can just ask them to say no. You can ask them to say, this doesn't sound right to me, because believe me, if anybody asks for a wage garnishment, it's not the Department of Education. It is a 2-bit collection industry representative. It is a boiler room of little scum-sucking, bottom-feeding vermin that are trying to get this wage garnishment coughed out of your employer. Well, your employer can tell them, hey, this doesn't sound right to me. Come back with a court order if you want a wage garnishment. That's how we do things around here. Then almost certainly the collection hounds on the other side of the line will give up. They will go to an easier target down the list. That's worked well for many people I know, including myself, by the way, back when I had a full-time job. So that's one thing to think about. It's not pretty, but it's, you got to stick up for yourself, guys. You got to bulletproof yourself. It could get very ugly come October 1st. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. So there's that. Another thing you might think about, if your student loans are not in default currently, some of our members, they make a small nominal payment every 269 days. Like, the legal definition of a default is if you have not made a payment to 270 days. Only then can they throw your loans into default. So I have looked quite carefully at the law that governs how they can default you and how they cannot. And while the law is not rock solid that says thou shalt only put this loan into default if no payment has been made in 270 days, it essentially says that. And as a practical matter, many of our members, they make like a $20 payment every like 8 months or something like that. And to this point, it has worked. It's not a virtual guarantee that it will always work going into the future, but it seems to work now. And it's probably worth thinking about if your loans are not in default. So those are a few of the things that you can do to sort of bulletproof yourself. There's a long list of other things that maybe I could throw out. Just the basic idea of making sure that you don't have any assets that are visible to anyone so that they can come after you. I mean, that means different things for different people. Maybe you have property that you want to put in a trust, or maybe you know, there's other ways to shield your assets. But I would urge you to consider any and all of those things. Talk to friends and family. You know, it's the great wide open, guys. I'll just say, you know, nobody wants to be in the position that we're in. But the fact of the matter is, even before the pandemic, 85% of all borrowers were never going to they were never going to be able to repay their loans. And that's probably even higher now today that we've had 3.5 years of no payments. Wages have, I think, by and large stagnated since that time. I think there's probably 10 million people who took themselves or somehow or another fell out of the workforce. So I think it's probably 85, if not 90% of all borrowers are essentially never going to be able to repay their loans. So again, don't feel bad. It's not you, it's the lending system. The lending system is evaporating into a mist of illegitimacy, you guys. Student loans are essentially one big national joke at this point. And that's just true. And by the way, I'm looking for your questions and comments now. I'm going to try and really be a little better about that going forward. So if you have any questions or comments, and if I can see them on Facebook and or Twitter, by all means, throw them out. I'm happy to respond to them in stream. Let's go reload. But you know, the number one thing that I would tell all of you, everyone, even if you are going to resume paying come October 1st, if you're one of the few, you need, and everybody with student loans needs to be fighting with us as hard as you possibly can to get the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy returned to the loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But believe me, guys, I've been looking at this problem very carefully for 18 years now. And the core of everything is the removal of this very important, as I said, constitutionally mandated right. The stripping of bankruptcy rights from these loans lies at the core of everything. Come October 1st, if we continue to not have our bankruptcy rights back, and at this point, it's looking very likely that will be true, it could get very ugly, guys. It could get very, very ugly. You know, the student debt collection industry wants nothing more than to see these loans turned back on, and the leverage of bankruptcy remains gone from us. That's what they want to see. And their wish is about to come true. So better later than never. You need to help us fight. And that is the most important thing that I can possibly suggest that you do. By the way, we don't buy into any of the income-driven repayment plans, the fresh start plan to get your loans out of default. We don't ascribe or recommend any of those programs. Many years of careful observation have shown beyond a shadow of a doubt that all of the programs, all of the IDRs, and including the new bankruptcy process that we're hearing about, and most especially this fresh start nonsense that the Department of Education is trying to roll out, they are all scams, ladies and gentlemen. For example, in 1 year alone, 2015, 57% of the people had been kicked out of the income-driven repayment plans for failure to verify their income. So all of these things are being run in the worst of bad faith, where the success rate for all the various income-driven repayment plans, even including this $116 billion nonsense that the Department of Education keeps advertising of loans that they've canceled, even still, well greater than 90%, probably greater than 95% of everyone who tries for these income-driven repayment plans, et cetera, they get disqualified out of them, and they wind up owing far, far, far more than had they never tried before in the first place. So hear me now and hopefully believe me now, because guys, we've been doing this for 18 years now. And like this, just a quick aside, this thing that we keep hearing the Department of Education brag about, canceling $116 billion in student loans. The Department of Education could cancel $116 billion in federal student loans every 2.5 years forever. The Department of Education or the Biden administration, whatever you want to call it, they could do that forever. And $373 billion would still be added onto the nation's federal student loan balance. That's $1.5 trillion over 10 years. And I'm not even including capitalized interest, compounded interest. I'm not even including that. So don't believe all the propaganda you see being thrown at us from every channel of the media. Like literally 90, I'm going to say 8, if not 99% of all the media out there is essentially propaganda seeded by the people who are making money off of this loan scam. And maybe one other quick aside, any of the bankruptcy attorneys, the student loan lawyers, the student debt coaches, and all these hustlers out there trying to get you to rejigger your loans, trying to get you to consolidate your loans, trying to get you to rehabilitate your loans, they are not looking out for your best interest. And many years of careful observation has shown that people who fall for their tricks, number one, the people who convince them to rehabilitate their loans, to consolidate their loans, they are making a ton of money off of your ass in commissions. That's the way that goes. For example, there's a 16% commission for defaulted loan rehabilitation. That is a check of 16% of the balance of the new loan that you signed for that gets sent to whoever gets you to do that. Be they a guarantor or some shisty student loan lawyer who has some sort of a fee splitting agreement with the guarantors or the servicers or whoever. So just bulletproof yourself, guys. Don't believe any of the propaganda that you see out there in the media. I would say just take it from us. Hey, Evie Porter is with us tonight. Evie says, they can garnish my Social Security check, right? I am retiring in February. Yeah, that's true, Evie. It is very difficult to avoid Social Security and disability income garnishment. Very difficult. There is a process. There is an appeals process by which you can do that. But I'll be honest with you, I have not known anyone who has successfully made it through that process. It's basically like a kangaroo court. You could try though. Yeah. Living in default is no picnic, guys. It's not. Susan Garden, but again, it's not that bad. I've lived in default for over 20 years now, and so it can be done. Anne Marie Barnett says, "Holy shit! I just got a letter from from Nelnet that my loan has been forgiven." Well, that's good, Anne Marie. I would say get it in writing, and if true. And, I almost wouldn't believe it until you get a paid in full letter. I would request a paid in full letter in writing, a hard letter. But if that is true, congratulations, Anne-Marie. I would only urge you, maybe beg you to please don't forget about us, because 98% of everyone are not getting the loan cancellation that's being so widely publicized in the media right now. But if that's true for you, Anne-Marie, very good. Don't clink any champagne quite yet until you've confirmed it, like beyond a shadow of a doubt. Susan Goddard says defaulted loans fall off credit reports after 10 years, don't they? Yeah, I think they fall off after actually like 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's true. Susan Goddard also says, I'm all for the current bankruptcy situation as long as the Brunner test is applied to all other bankruptcy proceedings. That would be uniform, right? Right, right. Yeah, you want to keep the Brunner test? Fine. Let's have the Brunner test. Let's have this undue hardship standard for all other loans, shall we? For credit card debt, for every other kind of loans that you can imagine. I can tell you, if they did that, corporate America would have a shit fit. So I get your humor, Susan. But it's a dangerous thing, because if we as a group, and we are the front line in this battle, guys, this group right here is way more important than you might imagine. We are the only group in the country of any significant size actually fighting for the return of bankruptcy to student loans. And if we lose this battle, there's no telling where it might stop. I mean, Susan, you I know you're being sort of facetious there, or sarcastic or something, but truly, guys, there are some very dark forces in this country, and they would love to put a similar barrier to bankruptcy on all consumer debt. They would like to see medical debt made similarly non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. They would love to. Credit cards, car loans, small business loans, you name it. So this is the camel's nose under the tent here, guys. And I cannot underscore how important it is that we win this battle. And so if you forget everything I said tonight, remember the thing that I said earlier. Above all else, no matter what you're going to do with your loans come October 1st, most people will not pay. But no matter what happens, guys, you've got to help us fight, and you've got to help us fight very hard for bankruptcy. So there's a couple of things, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm not going to be able to get to all your comments tonight, I don't think. And so I apologize. Maybe, okay, one more comment from Evie. I am concerned when doomsday payment arrives. I certainly cannot afford the $313 a month when I live paycheck to paycheck now. Right. And Evie, almost everybody is going to feel exactly the same way. We've had 3.5 years of not paying on these loans. We've all adjusted our lifestyles. Many of us maybe work less or earn less money, and inflation has sucked up every nickel that we were saving, and then some. People are just not going to pay. So don't feel bad. Maybe misery loves company is a good theme for tonight. But I'll just say, guys, we've got to stick together, and we've got to fight. We've got to fight like we've never fought before for the return of bankruptcy rights to these loans. So there's two things that I would ask you tonight, two easy action items that I would put to you tonight, guys. Number one, we need you to get us into a meeting with your member of the House of Representatives. You need to call your member of the House of Representatives and ask for a meeting. You're a constituent. You can do that. You can set a meeting up. We cannot. And bring us into the meeting. Just read the thing that's scrolling below. And it's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing that I would add to that little chyron scrolling below is that it would be best if we could meet and bring us in. We can do all the talking if we have to. We can do most or all of the talking. But ask specifically to meet with the judiciary staffer of your member of the House of Representatives. Very important, guys. We're trying to make this very easy for you. We'll do all the heavy lifting. But you got to set up that meeting, because it all starts with you. Only you can make that happen. So please do that. Second thing, please get into the habit of doing our daily actions. You need a Twitter account. You just do. Get a Twitter account. Get an X account. You can get one for free. It's not hard. Our daily actions usually take only a matter of a minute or so a day to do. Just get into the habit of doing our daily actions. You can get on our email list to get a daily blast. You can look on our Facebook group to see what our everyday's action is. It's usually towards the top of the page is what the daily action for that day is. Do our daily actions. We've got 1.4 million, more than 1.4 million people in this group, at least on paper. And if even 10% of the people on our group were doing our daily actions, we would have this problem solved in a matter of weeks or months. Like that would be 140,000 people a day, overwhelming the Twitter accounts of everyone that we target. It would be 140,000 people melting the phone banks of every congressman and senator that we decide to hit. And that's only if 1 in 10 of the people on our group were doing our daily actions. So I'll be honest with you guys, on any given day, I only see a few hundred people doing anything, and that's not going to get it done for us. So you need to turn over a new leaf. In particular, if you are not going to be resuming payments on your student loans in October, this could get really, really, really ugly, guys, and I don't want that. And if you also don't want that, then we at least have got to have the toothpick of leverage that bankruptcy rights affords us. Ideally, come October 1st when they turn the loans back on. That's pushing it at this point. We're like not even 6 weeks away from that now. So that would be a miracle if we could get bankruptcy returned by October 1st. But hey, as I said, better later than never, guys. And so, yeah, that's what we need to do. Number 1, do our daily actions. Number 2, get us into a meeting with your House rep. Switch reverse. And beyond that, guys, I would just say, please educate yourself. I know, and this goes out to mostly the people who are new to the group. I know a lot of people out there don't really understand student loans, and why would you? I mean, beyond the fact that you have them and they suck, most people don't, and rightfully so, don't know much about student loans. And so I would just urge you to check out our Medium channel and read the most recent, 5, 6, 7 of our articles. This is stuff that by and large is not being reported in the mainstream media. We do top-notch research. I wrote the very first book with a publisher, so there was a lot of oversight and there was a lot of editing and checks and balances and legal people going over all the analysis and the research, etc. This is the very first book ever written to be critical of the student loan problem in this country. I take great pride in the quality of my research. We've broken stories on 60 Minutes and in the Wall Street Journal and the Chronicle of Higher Education and in Inside Higher Ed and many, 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 many other places. And I can tell you that a good half of the articles that you will see there at that Medium channel have never been reported on by the mainstream media. But the facts that are asserted there, and they're all, in my opinion, very easily vetted based on nothing more typically than Department of Education data, they're jaw-dropping. They change the entire public conversation around student loans. And so, forewarned is forearmed. Educating yourself about the uniquely unconstitutional, vicious, and predatory nature of these loans helps you. It puts armor on you and allows you to be able to be a very fine, fit, and fierce student loan justice warrior. And I know that sounds kind of campy, but the truth shall set us free, as they say. Anyways, before I start launching into a speechy, weird, overly profound thing, let me just say, guys, everything I said tonight is absolutely true. This is your battle, and nobody knows how this is going to turn out. The federal lending program is collapsing. Of that, there is no doubt. But we're fighting for the good ending, the good, clean, fiscally, economically stimulative, nation helping good ending. We don't want the bad ending, guys. It could get very, very ugly. And so a lot is riding on what you do. Last profound thing I'm going to say tonight before I sign off. You have no idea how important you are. Or maybe I should say you have no idea how important you could be. This all comes down to individuals getting their hands a little muddy, a little bloody. And I think Evie and Susan, they'll tell you it feels good to fight this fight. And anybody else on the live stream that I'm not seeing. And again, I apologize for not being able to get to your comments tonight. This is your battle, and we need you in it. You know, we're losing some of our best people who are getting their student loans canceled, which is very odd. A very high percentage of our most active members are seeing their loans get apparently canceled. And I'm knocking on wood there, because I don't believe anything, and you shouldn't believe anything you hear from the Department of Education or from the servicers unless you have it in writing. But suffice it to say, guys, for whatever reason, we may very well be losing our most active members who are going to go on with their lives. And so we need more than ever for everybody out there within the sound of my voice to help us fight this battle. We can't pull your weight for you. This is the most honest, most truthful group. This is the most grassroots group in existence on the student loan problem, and probably many other things as well. This is a working, fighting group, and we need you working and fighting. And I think that's where I'll leave it tonight. So take heart. Join us. It feels very good to fight this fight. It's cathartic. We do nothing more than tell the truth, and it's a fight very much worth fighting for ourselves and for tens of millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps. We are the tip of the spear, folks. We are the entire spear in many ways. And don't look at the other groups. They're basically full of shit. If they're not fighting for bankruptcy, then they're not doing anything but trying to build their own little fiefdoms or whatever. And we're not into that. We're into solving this problem. I want nothing more than to be done with this student loan problem. I want to get on with my life, and I hope that you feel the same way. If that's true, you found the right group, and we're glad that you're here. So I'll be back tomorrow, guys. Just please remember what I said and rewind this thing to get all the particulars of the information. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck. Godspeed doing our daily actions and reading our stuff and all the stuff I said. And God bless everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.